PJ,
Hey, how we doing?
good. Just FYI, Facebook Live isn't working from Zoom right now.
Keep trying it.
Okay.
Do it from my iPad here. This, that.
It's allowing me to share it to my own timeline, but I can't share it to the group for some reason. So weird.
I got it. All right, yeah, I'm live on Facebook now, so that should be good.
Okay.
Hey, Tom, how we doing?
Doing great. How's PJ?
Living the dream, buddy. Living the
Awesome.
dream.
There you go.
All right, so we got Facebook Live going. Rachel, while I'm doing this, if you go on to the group page right now, you should see me running a live.
Okay.
Go ahead and invite everybody to that, please.
Make a new host now as well. Facebook page. Let me look at the live. Let me mute myself.
Jump on here. So, was anybody on the Thrive call today? Did you guys see that? Thumbs up. We had a guy talking about his business, and it was kind of unique to me, the story that he was really sharing. He had come into the business, general brokerage. I think he had done 6 or 8 months in general brokerage, and then went to work for a builder. His mom felt so bad for him. He got to sell his first house for his mom after 6 months of no sales. He was a little bit beat up by the business. Went over to a home builder, like a lot of agents that leave general brokerage do, and where he was getting a salary plus reduced commission, and really started just getting really good at that and understanding the sales side of everything. And what he did was he ended up reading MREA. He ended up having some really good conversations with Keller Williams agent and coming back on board into general brokerage. And I think that kind of the story he was sharing, and I'm paraphrasing this really fast, obviously. Yet I think we all need to look at that and understand. I think a lot of times the new home construction crew kind of gets the little, oh, you couldn't cut it in general brokerage, so you go over here type of attitude. And I think a lot of real estate agents, and I know even myself in the past, had that kind of response towards those people. Yet we're all in sales. And so I think, talking about the MREA and the reason why we're going through all the shift tactics and everything right now, it's really, really important that we understand the basics of the business, because now this guy's flourishing with a huge team, and I don't remember his numbers off the top of my head. So, that maybe, if you got somebody who's really rocking it in sales and new home construction, maybe that's time for you to add them to your team, or maybe that's a time for you just to add them into Keller Williams in general, and see if that may be a fit for them. If you can show them or put me in a conversation with them and I can show them how much more money they're going to be making. And guess what? You don't have to sit in a model home for 8 hours, 10 hours at a time, right? So anyways, see a couple people jumping on here. We'll go ahead and get started. Just kind of wanted to share that if you guys didn't see the Thrive call. keep in mind on the daily update, all this stuff, all the Zoom links are there. So you can save your daily update and go right there. What I've done just to make it easier on myself, I've gone ahead and put everything in my calendar with the Zoom links attached in the description. So that way I can just click on my calendar, or I get a notification on my calendar of where I need to be. The Zoom link's right there. It's just really easy to click into. So, all right, so we're going to talk about Tactic 11 today. Master the market of the moment, short sales, foreclosures, and REOs. Now, this is something that we've already kind of been talking about, and something that I know Chelsea and I were talking about the other day, but short sales, foreclosures, and REOs. I want you guys to be mindful. This is a conversation. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. This is a conversation a lot of us have been having. I know, Chelsea, we're talking about going and getting more education around a certified distressed property expert to be prepared for that. Yet, I want to take a step back, and I was actually having a conversation with my father last night about this. My dad's done a lot of stuff in real estate over the years, and one of the things that we kind of disagreed upon was the impact of distressed properties that are going to be coming up, such as short sales, foreclosures, REOs. And so I don't think it's going to impact as much as my dad thought it really was. And this is my reasoning behind that. We're going to see some of it. There are people who have lost their jobs, absolutely. So there's going to be people that are going to be struggling to make payments. Now, we have to look at who is losing their jobs. So this is what I call going 3 deep, right? And so, okay, so who are those people that are losing their jobs right now? They're going to be the non-essential employees, right? So you're talking about your hairdressers, you're talking about your restaurant workers, and I'm sure there's, just using that, but a lot of retail. And then you got the flip side of that coin, like Costco, for example. I have a friend who works for Costco. Once this all hit, he got a $2 an hour price raise. And so it was like, that was kind of interesting that they went the other way with it. And it was, to show their people that they were supportive, and Costco obviously going to stay open. And so, excuse me. So we have to look at where the people who are losing their jobs are coming from, because that's going to determine what type of impact we're going to see in our market. So those people that are losing their jobs, what type of real estate did they own, right? Now, I remember I was a restaurant worker for 16 and a half years before I got into this business, okay? And in 15 years of my 16 and a half, I rented. And so now I was single, wasn't married, and when I was becoming a father is when I was like, okay, I need to buy a house, right? And I'm not saying that all restaurant workers are renting, so please don't take this conversation the wrong way, all right? I'm just saying we have to look at what impact they're gonna have. Now, I don't care if you're a restaurant worker, I don't care if you're a hairstylist, nail technician, any of those things. You could be married to somebody that has a corporate job and they're essential and this person's not essential. It's really just going to depend on how smart they've been with the real estate purchases they've done in the past. So when I was having this conversation last night, because I had literally just finished reading Tactic 11 again, so it was fresh on my brain to talk to my dad about it. One of the things we were talking about was, okay, so if these people are going to be losing property, then we're going to see an impact on the short sales. And this is a conversation we've already had. I think we will see some increase in short sales. I think it's going to be much longer before we see the foreclosure increase. Yet, we've got to look at this shift because this shift is different. This shift is medically driven. It's not economically driven. And so what I mean by that is everybody in 2008, when the market goes down, everybody's grabbing as much money as they can. Now everybody has this mentality that I need to save my money. Right now, we have a mentality that we need to wash our hands, we need to wear masks, our mentality is not around us saving and hoarding our money because of a couple of reasons. Now, number one, if you haven't lost your job, really, it is what it is, right? You're still going along, chugging along the right way, or the way you were doing it anyways. So that's number one. Number two, stimulus checks are going to be going out. So there's going to be money put in to your pockets or to the people's pockets. For businesses, you know, there's the PPP program and the SBA loans. So businesses are going to survive. Then look at what the banks are doing, right? The banks are basically giving you a 3-month mortgage, so you don't have to pay it. They're tacking it on at the end of your note or whatnot, right? Or they're extending things. Even taxes that need to be paid in have been bumped back to July 15th right now, right? Instead of April 15th. So there's a lot of different things that are contributing to each person's individual finances that I don't think is going to impact as much. So I do think that we are going to see some short sales come up in the next 6 months. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the magnitude that we saw around 2008. Okay. So just to kind of dive into these, all right, for the 3 markets of the moments. What are short sales? So we're just going to talk about that really quickly. So if you're following along on page 225 here, short sales, individuals or families that are trying to avoid foreclosure. Okay. Now I'm going to give a brief little description of a short sale just so you guys understand and know what it is. So if you already know a short sale, this is going to be a little bit of review for you. The short sale is called a short sale because the note holder or the bank, right, is going to be shorting the note. So for example, let's just make numbers really, really easy. I've got a $2,000 mortgage, or that's a $200,000 loan amount. I'm paying $1,000 a month. And when I make my first payment, I'm getting credited probably about 20%, or $200 is going towards my principal and my equity. Now, as the next month hits, now $200.50 is going towards my equity. And then the next month hits and it's $201 goes towards my equity. Now my mortgage doesn't change, yet my interest rate is slowly coming down and my equity or my principal is slowly going up, what is being contributed to those 2 categories. So basically, and I know that's probably remedial for you guys, yet to understand that the mortgage, the interest is paid up front typically, right? Or a larger portion of it's paid up front. So banks have worked out an algorithm, and they're all different, okay? That if, for example, let's say I owe $200,000 on that mortgage, and my house right now is only worth $180,000 because of the market shift, what have you. And on top of that, so I'm $20,000 underwater, as they call it. I'm also, if I'm going to sell it, I'm going to be having to pay commissions and stuff like that. So I'm probably closer to, $35,000 underwater, $40,000 underwater. And so going through this process of the short sale, I also need to have so there's certain requirements to be approved for a short sale. So I have to have lost my job, had to have a death in the immediate family, had to get divorced, maybe I got relocated for work. There's a few different, I think I hit them all, maybe missing 1 or 2 in there, to be qualified for a short sale. So that's the first thing. And so what the bank's going to do is the bank is going to say, okay, go ahead, put it up on the market, list it for 180. Chelsea brings me a buyer, I get 185, right? Now the bank can see the contract and everything, yet they know that I owe 200,000 plus commissions and whatnot. And then the bank decides with how much interest they've made off of me over time, what they're willing to short the note to. So they may only short it to 190. And so then I can sell it, and I either have to come out of pocket that extra $5,000, or I can, or I have to do something to satisfy the note. Okay, make sense? So that's a short sale. Now, banks are very slow in this process, and so if you guys do start working with a short sale, please contact me. Let me walk you through it. Let me help you out with it. The fastest one I've ever fastest short sale I've ever done has been 89 days, which is 3 months, which is very fast for a short sale. My longest one was 15 and a half months. And I had another one that was 14 months. But typically it was when I first got into the business in 2013, 2014, I had an average window of about 6 to 8 months on the close of the short sale. So, and again, don't judge those numbers for anything, because With this shift, we don't know what that's going to do, right? People haven't played around and done short sales in a while. So I want to make sure you guys are educated. Do you have any questions on shorts or anything like that? Just want to make sure we're educated on it. And again, guys, like I said, if you get involved in this, and some of you guys may be saying, whatever, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to deal with it, whatever. I get it, okay? And it is a way that you can still do real estate and still make money. It's a lot of extra paperwork. I'm not going to lie. A lot of times they do ask you to reduce your commission. So if you are interested in this, go get that CDPE certification, okay? The Certified Distressed Property Expert, and that's for all distressed properties. So then after a short sale would come with a foreclosure, right? And so that's what the banks, and I don't want to talk negatively about the banks, but let's face it, they have less to deal with if it's just gone into a foreclosure. Banks are not in the business of real estate. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, Tom is my guy. And so Tom, you're my REO listing specialist. This property's gone into foreclosure. Get it up there, get it listed, get it sold. Now, a couple of things to be mindful about with foreclosures, okay? And I think I told you guys this last week. I live in a foreclosure right now, okay? My other rental property in Indian Trail is a foreclosure. I did another foreclosure on a flip property. Now, I'll tell you, there's some really, really cool things real estate agents can do with foreclosures. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the cliff notes on it. Again, I think I said this the other day, so if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. It's not going to hurt to hear it twice. So bargain hunters and investors are seeking value. That's what people are looking for in a foreclosure, right? Well, typically what they'll do is the bank will go ahead and authorize Tom to put a price up. Tom will put that price up, and that price will stand for the next 60, 90 days. At the 60, 90-day mark is typically when they're going to go ahead and do a price reduction, okay? And if you guys go look in MLS right now, and in the search bar, put in a foreclosed property, and then go look back at the closed ones and look at the little ticker on the time and see the history of that property, and you can see where the price reductions were. Now, if it went under contract really fast, obviously you're not going to have the data. So look at a couple of different ones, and you can see how they drop. And typically, depending, they're going to drop in a $5,000 or $10,000 increment. Depends on the price point that it's at, really. And then when you do go to a foreclosure, you're going to be working with a buyer who wants to get into a foreclosure. It's great. Understand, you guys need to be a little bit more prepared for those showings, okay? A lot of times they're not going to have electricity on. A lot of times they're not going to have water on, right? Bring a roll of toilet paper with you. Bring a flashlight with you, okay? And bring protection with you. I'm not going to, I don't want to scare anybody off, yet. When I was really doing foreclosures, probably between 13 and 16, I ran into 3 squatters inside of properties. And listen, 2 people that I ran into, or 2 groups that I ran into that were squatting inside of a house were, I'm so sorry, let me leave, let me get out. And I did have one agitated person that pulled a knife out. So you guys need to make sure, and you guys, that was in Matthews, okay? That was not really in a bad neighborhood by any means. And come to find out later, the guy had some mental issues, and he was squatting in his own property that he had been evicted from already because he couldn't make his payments. Anyways, I digress. The point is, you just need to be careful around foreclosures. Now, when you're talking with Tom, the listing agent of the foreclosure, and I say, well, you know what, Tom? Clients like the house, does need some new paint, does need some new carpet, so on and so forth. And then you wait. And then what Tom's going to do is he's going to report that feedback back to the bank. And I promise you, the first thing that they will always do is they will always paint. The reason they'll paint is because it's inexpensive and it will bring the most value for the cheapest dollar amount percentage-wise. So as a result, they will typically always paint. Carpet's always the second thing I always mention, or flooring for that matter. They're not going to go and put expensive stuff in, yet they will. And the more things you kind of point out and talk about over time, it depends on the bank. It took me 4 months to buy this property that I'm currently in, or 4 months from when it came on the market until I purchased it, okay? Or put it under contract, rather, not purchased it, excuse me. And so we did that, and we went in, and I said, okay, the paint's a mess. Okay, we're painting. done. And we went ahead and replaced all the carpets in the house. I was like, okay, cool. I'll take my clients back out to take another look at it. Go back out to the property, and I'm in conversation. Alan Curley, he's a Berkshire Hathaway agent, does a lot of REOs. And you'll find if you get into this world, there's a select few of agents that really do this business at a high level. And Alan's one of them. And so Alan and I have known each other for years already. So I went out, we're talking about now, the other things in the property, the old black appliances, which look beat to hell and whatnot, excuse my French. And as a result, brand new stainless steel Whirlpool appliances showed up the next month. Kept going back and forth, and some light fixtures actually got replaced. That was pretty much about it. So then I said, okay, I think we're ready to make an offer. Now, watch the price go from $369.9 or $364.9 when it first hit the market, and it was dropping by $10,000 increments, $10,000 increments. And I think the first drop was like 20 grand in like the first 60 days. And realizing that this house for this neighborhood, this is the biggest sized house in the neighborhood. The average homes in this neighborhood are about 2,800 square feet. This one's 4,130. The average is a 4-bedroom house. This is a 6-bedroom, arguably a 7-bedroom house with a 3.5 bath. So it's not that desirable to people unless you're crazy like me and you want to buy like a massive house. My family situation was a little bit different at that time too. So anyways, so I said, okay, so we're down to $305,900. That was the list price. I said, we're ready to make an offer, and I go ahead and put an offer in at $290,000. Now, of course, he first calls me up and says, you realize you're the buyer, right? Thanks for the song and dance for the last 2 months or whatever it was. And I said, well, you got to ask the question. So he said, because he would have approached me differently. He's like, you know how these things work, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I got the carpet, I got the paint, I got all the new appliances, all that stuff. Great, great, wonderful, awesome. Okay, moving on. I entered 290. He comes back at 305 flat. Okay. Now, when they come back, that's it. They're not going to go back and forth. I'm not going to go to 295 and get them to 3. They just sit at 305. That's it. Yet, what they don't tell you is that their algorithm that they use factors in a 3% for closing costs. So I went ahead and said, okay, I want 3% in closing costs. Well, 3% on $305,000 is $91.50. Okay. Now, what I was able to do, and I shared this the other day, so I apologize for repeating myself. I only had about $6,400 in closing costs. So what I did is I went to my lender and I bought a discount point for $6,000 or whatever it was. Now my closing costs were up to $12,000. Yet I was only coming out of pocket, $3,000 and change, whatever it was. The other thing I was able to do is collect my 3% real estate commission, which is another $91.50. And there was a $1,000 agent bonus on it because it had been sitting on the market so long, they put an agent bonus up there. So what you guys may or may not know, on an owner-occupant property, and this is a federal law, you guys can go ahead and take your bonus, you can take your 3% real estate commission, and you can roll it into your down payments. And when you roll it into your down payment, it's tax-free, okay? So I'm talking about $10,150 between the bonus and my commission, which I normally would have been given somewhere around $4,000 to taxes on. I can roll it in tax-free one time a year because the house is an asset that I'm going to be selling later that's going to be taxed on. So the federal government allows you to do that as a real estate agent. You guys may or may not know that. It's really good information to have in your back pocket. Okay? Now, obviously, if you don't need the money for the down payment, then you just go right ahead and tell them that, hey, I want to take 10 grand off the top of the price of the home. So now I bought it for 305, $91.50, $91.50, and $1,000. I got an additional $19,300 off the price of the home. That makes sense to you guys? That's a lot of money. And I'm not saying this to brag or boast, yet this is how you play the game with foreclosures. And if you do this with an investor, now obviously with an investor or with a client in general, you can't roll in that down payment amount. Yet if you show them how they can get 3% back, they're going to be like, this person knows what I'm talking about. That's the person I need to be using for my next investment property, so on and so forth. And so I don't know how soon we're going to see the foreclosure section come back. Again, go back to the previous conversation about the way this shift has occurred, yet something to just be mindful of. And then REOs are financial institutions with above average number of foreclosures to sell, or REO, real estate owned, okay? What you will find is that a lot of times BB&T, well, they're now Truist. I'm sure they will continue to do it. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, a lot of the bigger bank names, Chase, they have their own foreclosure departments. And so they will continue to hold and own the property. What happens a lot of times with like Bank of North Carolina, Bank of the Ozarks, Credit Union, for example, what they'll typically do is they'll go sell it on the secondary market. And typically it's going to get picked up by Fannie or Freddie, or now what's called New Res, okay? And so they'll get picked up typically by one of those, and the majority is coming from New Res, what used to be Freddie Mac, New Res, and Fannie Mae. And this is how they work. So everything we just talked about is not set in stone, because each bank, each entity has their own kind of algorithm for this. Yet I do know with Fannie and Freddie, you'll get your 3% closing cost. So you just got to look up who the note holder is and just be conscious and smart about it. Okay. So what happens in the shifting market? So let's talk about what happens when it occurs. And again, I don't think it's going to be this impactful. So less buyers and more sellers will tend to be on the market. Is that the situation that we were in before this? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes or no? No, right? Absolutely not. We were not heavy sellers. We were not heavy sellers, right? We were heavy buyers. We could put something on the market, it would go right away, right? Supply versus demand. If you guys bear with me for a second, I'll show you a great tool. And we looked at this slightly yesterday when we were on with Matt. So let me just log into Canopy real quick. I'm going to show you guys a really cool tool that will answer this question for you. If I can remember my password. Sorry. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share with you guys here. You guys, I'm getting so tech savvy with Zoom. Aren't you guys proud? Okay. Can you guys all see this? Good? Okay. Those of you on Facebook Live will not be able to see this, I don't think. Okay, so when you log into Canopy, what I want you to do is I want you to back up your page right like this. Okay? You're going to go back to the original login before you click into Matrix. Okay? That's where we just were, was in Matrix. A lot of times it'll just bring you straight into Matrix. Back it up and come to this market activity right here. Okay? Now, this is a really, really cool report to look at. Okay? And so let me make this a little bigger. All right. So as you can see, it does week ending and then month ending. And so as we're talking about how much money we're seeing or what the shift in the market is, look down here at the month supply. Oops, I clicked something. Look back here at month supply of home for sales decreased 28% year over year. And as a result, we're down to 1.8 months of inventory. Okay? So what that means is, does anybody know what fair market value is between buyers and sellers? How many months of inventory is fair market value? Anybody know?
You're talking about balanced market?
Balanced market, yes, sir.
5 or 6 months worth of inventory.
Bingo, yep, it's 6 months. And I see Chelsea down there screaming with her hands up. Yep, it's 6 months is considered a balanced market. So at 1.8 months, we're still very much heavy into a seller's market right now. So that's why I say we've got to take some of this with a grain of salt. Now, let's flip to like a Detroit that's at like 8 months of inventory right now. They're going to feel this impact a lot harder than we're going to feel it here, okay? So this is definitely a regional or a city-by-city type of conversation. All right, so then from there, if we've got more sellers than we have buyers, we're going to have the average price of homes is going to what? Go up or down?
All.
It's going to fall, right? And if we get, like, let's just say everybody stopped moving to Charlotte. We have about 100 people a day that move to Charlotte. What happens if that stops? Well, then sellers are going to have to get competitive because supply and demand. So then sellers get upside down on their house and short sales can occur. Okay, so that's what we just talked about with the short sales. As a result, that continues down that path. They can't make the payments or whatnot. They have to get out for other reasons. That's where foreclosures come to play. And then REOs hit the market. The average home price will fall further the more foreclosures and short sales we have in a specific area. Okay, the more the sellers get upside down, the more defaults we're going to have, and then more increase of foreclosure, more REOs come into the market. Again, that's the cyclical way of when the market shifts. Now, I don't think we're going to have a crazy impact like that. Yet, it just for purposes of going over Tactic 11 and looking at this, that's where we're going to see an increase, maybe 20, 30 properties on average versus an increase of 200, 300 properties on average. So just something to be mindful of, and really understanding this foreclosure and REO process is going to be the most important thing. Okay. Now, there's another thing that they don't talk about in the book on Tactic 11, yet I think it's really important that we need to talk about. Let me stop sharing that screen. Okay. And that's going to be HUD homes. Okay. Housing and urban development. They stepped in decades ago to bring some relief. You can also go get HUD certified. Okay. Go on HUD.gov, I think it is, and look up. You can get certified to be HUD certified, meaning that you can list those properties when they do come on. And also you can, you have to have a HUD number as a buyer's agent to put an offer in on a HUD property. HUD's a little bit different as well, and I'm not going to go down that long bunny trail there. Just understand there's a couple of things that when it comes down to it, the payment method of your buyer is going to be really important as well. And I know we talked about this the other day. I started all my foreclosures out, and I still to this day, I say that they're on an FHA loan. Why are they on an FHA loan? Because I can go from an FHA to a conventional, no issues. I can't go from a conventional to an FHA. Same way as if I'm going to put 95% loan to volume down on a property, right? So I'm putting 5% down because I'm taking LTV of 95. As long as I say in my contract I'm putting 5, I can go ahead and put 10, yet I can't go the other way. And what a lot of agents probably don't know is that the financing is not a term or reason for termination in the state of North Carolina around a property not closing. So if Chelsea doesn't get her financing on the property, that is not good enough to get her due diligence money and her earnest money back if she's past her due diligence window. So be mindful of that because it's the opposite in South Carolina, okay? I know a lot of you guys don't do deals in South Carolina. I know a couple of you have. If you guys are doing anything in South Carolina, guys, just come talk to me. I live in South Carolina. I've done a lot of deals in South Carolina. Rob is licensed in South Carolina as well. You guys can talk to Rob Pettit, our broker in charge. Come and just have a conversation. Just because everything is completely different. So you really need to understand that law. It's very, very different from North Carolina. So short sales, foreclosures, REOs, HUDs. This is an indication of what can be coming in the market. And again, like I said, I don't think we're going to see a huge, overwhelming amount of this. And as I said earlier, my father and I had a long conversation about this last night because, I mean, he's in his late 60s. The guy owns 3 houses. He doesn't have a mortgage on any one of them, and he's still looking for deals. That's just, I guess it runs in the blood or something. But that's kind of the conversation we were having. I kind of almost wish I recorded it because it was a really good high-level conversation around real estate. What questions, comments, concerns do you guys have right now? Got a minute. Good stuff, Tom. Give me the thumbs up. I like that. Chelsea, thank you. Guys, if you have additional or further questions about any of this stuff, always just shoot me an email. I think you all know I love to talk, especially real estate talk. So, I'm happy to to help just have a conversation or work around, challenges or opportunities that you guys may be seeing or having right now. Chelsea, I loved your post earlier on Facebook. What did you get? A new listing appointment and 2 new buyers? Is that right? Am I saying that wrong?
Okay, so I had my first listing, remember, and it expired, right?
Yep.
Well, the guy got the tenants out, and now he's ready to relist with me. And I'm not quite sure if it's in pre-foreclosure yet. I haven't got to that point yet because I'm focused on going to those showings. But we're going to have a talk later this evening. But he's ready to get back on board with me and get this thing sold.
That's awesome. So you're keeping in touch with him?
Yeah, and he called
Using
me.
Command?
Well, I'm just now figuring out Command, and I don't know why I haven't done this earlier, but that Command is...
Command's awesome. So yeah, so not slowing down at all, guys. So Chelsea, thank you for sharing, because I don't think you knew I was going to say that. Guys, keep doing what you're doing. We're halfway through the week. Guys, I'm going to have a special guest tomorrow on here. MAPS coach, OP, team leader, and he's going to give us some insight on what's going on in the California market. A lot of stuff that happens in the California market or the West Coast in general, we see trickle down to us anywhere from 6 to 18 months down the road. And he's my MAPS coach. If you guys want to go look him up, his name's Rob Talbot. Very, very well-educated guy, very well up the food chain, so to speak, in Keller Williams. So you guys that are on teams, call your teammates that are not on this right now. They're going to want to be here tomorrow. He's going to talk to us about the market. He's going to open it up for questions. So if you guys have some questions for him, please be here tomorrow. It's going to be really, really good, really insightful. And I got to thank you guys that were on yesterday with Matt jumping on from Colorado. Guys, I'm going to continue to get as many people on here as possible to value you guys. And I hope you are finding value in those conversations. Yet keep in mind, I mean, you guys are talking to some of the top guys in MAPS coaching right now that, they're a step away from Gary Keller. So you got questions, this is the time, or these are the people to be asking those questions of. So I'll continue to bring that as many as I can to you guys. Be here tomorrow, 2:00 sharp. Be on time. Get on at 1:55. We'll have Rob on here, and it should be a really, really good conversation.
Great.
Cool. All right, guys. Make it a great day. Love you. Be safe, and talk to you soon.